I was the last runner of our relay. And as the baton got to me, I could feel the sweat, which was warm from the person who had previously passed it to me. The race was already over then. We were 6th out of the 7 teams. 5 runners ahead of me, and I had just started. Before taking off, I whispered to myself, where you start does not define where you end. Assalamu alaikum everyone. My name is Ahmad Mutaba Yasir, and my journey didn't start from these stadiums of Lahore nor the spotlight of Shark Tank. I grew up in a humble town in Gujarat by the name of Langrial. My mother decided when I was 5 that the education system there wasn't something that I was accustomed to, or it wasn't something that she wanted me to be a part of. So she took me to Lahore. So my mother had this ambition, a weird ambition as my family called it, that I had to study in one of the prestigious institutions of Pakistan, HSN College. My family laughed about it. They were saying कि बच्चा अभी लंगड़ियाल से उठ के आए, ऐसे अंग्रेजी बोलनी आती नहीं है, and you want him to study in that institution? My mother tried her luck. I was sitting in my grandmother's room in Langrial when I got the acceptance letter. I remember nothing from that day but the warmth of the hugs of my grandparents. And that made me believe in and tell myself that I want to do something that's greater than just that. Now, my parents were happy and sad at the same time. It was a paradox. Happy because I had gotten into the institution. Sad because how can you afford such a place from Langrial? My parents made huge sacrifices to make sure that I was able to study in such an institution. The first day I entered, I was laughed off. My tenses were wrong. I didn't know how to speak English properly, and everything was going in the opposite direction. I thought my life would change then. It actually did, but not in the best ways possible. Fast forward, I graduated as the deputy head boy of the school and the day boy valedictorian. And in that speech, I mentioned my grandparents and my parents. They were in front of me, and that is one of the moments that I cherish the most today. But the journey doesn't end here. That's not the finish line. Maybe for the 8-year-old who dreamed of the things that he wanted to achieve, maybe he did. But I faced another setback. I always wanted to pursue my education abroad, but that wasn't the case. So now there were 2 options. A, you cry about it, you go on a gap year and you do all sorts of things that you do what you shouldn't be doing. Or the second was establishing something that I could call my brainchild, SKILLABS. So I came through this idea when I was researching that students are in an age of neuroplasticity, and that's when it's being developed the most. So why not ensure that you are providing personalized learning through current technology that actually has an impact? You learn at a specific pace. You learn at another. But our education system isn't accustomed to that. That's where we decided that SKILLABS is going to make a difference. Now, we're partnering up with schools. We have our own AI-enabled model that we're currently selling to schools all across Pakistan. We're in talks with people in Tanzania. I figured that I need to be doing something more. We did the first cohort, we did the beta testing for SKILLABS, and then we moved on to the next thing. Then one day, July 20th, I received a call from one of our customers. And what they said actually made me laugh on call then. They asked me to apply to Shark Tank Pakistan. I didn't say anything to them, but I thought about it for a second. An 18-year-old who wasn't sure about what his next step would be, of how he wants to pursue his business in the future, whether or not he was going to university the next year, how exactly can that person apply to a platform so high where thousands of applications, thousands of entrepreneurs are all accustomed and all are invited to a place in which they share their idea? I gave my 110% to the applications. Long story short, got accepted, got the shortlisted interview call, and soon I was supposed to prepare a presentation which was to be given to these sharks. This was before the final pitch, by the way. Now, here's when it gets interesting. So now this is not the only thing on my plate. It's 9th or 10th August, my A-levels results were supposed to come down. I had my paternal aunt's, my pupu's wedding, and I had to arrange that being the eldest. So keeping all the things in mind, I didn't know what to prioritize and when. I prioritized what was needed at that time, which was me focusing on the application and the audition that was to come afterwards. It was an online audition, and the internet in Langrial, where I was at the time, isn't the best. So I thought to myself, okay, let's just go, all right? Select to hona nahi hai. Agar ho jate hain to theek hai, let's just go with the flow. And that's what I did. But turns out that after the presentation ended, I knew that I'd given my best, and now I waited for the results. When I received a call from an unknown number when I was at the workshop getting my car fixed, after we were back in Lahore, I was told that you are shortlisted for the final round. That exceeded my expectations. I was preparing for the actual day, which was on September 19th. And believe me, this was the time where I did not know whether or not I was on a gap year, wanting to pursue my education again. I was lost. But took one step at a time, put one in front of another. And that's when I decided that we'll go with the flow again and prepare for the pitch itself. Now, the day before I actually flew to Karachi, I did not know the flight details at all. I did not know when I was flying, didn't know what exactly was needed for the pitch. I just had this 90 seconds pitch in my mind prepared. I was spending the night before I had to fly in a mentor's place, and for 4 hours straight, I was standing in the same spot as I am right now, and for 3 hours he grilled me on every single number I put forward. He didn't take me as an 18-year-old. He took me as someone who wanted to build something. Flew to Karachi, met the sharks. I thought that they would not take me seriously. But because of the numbers, because of the idea, the vision, I'm grateful that they did. They didn't put me an offer. I was disappointed a bit, but soon after that episode went on, we got offers from Houston, Seattle, many places all around the world. But now I had to face another challenge, right? Now, I was going to pursue my education at LUMS. I'm a rising sophomore currently, but that wasn't the plan all this way. I wanted to focus on something of my own, and that's when my parents said, you take the step, you do what you're doing, and we trust you. That first semester, I messed up bad. Way bad. And for those of you who are acquainted with the semester system, once you have a bad semester, recovering from that is not an easy job. But then again, where you start does not define where you finish. I realized this, and again, the next semester I prioritized on two things, which was my education and the business. And this is when I met a revered professor of LUMS. He said the following. I loved the conversation, by the way, a wonderful guy, and he actually made me be clear on a lot of things. He said that, beta, aapko gold medals chahiye 2 Olympic races mein. By the way, these 2 Olympic races are education and business. He said you can't do that. Are you aware of any Olympian who has won medals in 2 Olympic races, different fields? So me being me, I went back home and I searched on the internet Olympians who've won medals in 2 races. So there was Carla Hughes who had won them, and that's when I told myself that, well, yes, things are impossible. Some things are beyond your reach. And I'm not standing here because of the achievements I have throughout my life, because in these 19 years of life, I don't think I've done a lot as compared to those who were speaking before me, but I do believe that I have wisdom to impart because I've talked to people, I've lived those experiences that you all can benefit from. And so after I searched that up, after I looked it up, I made my mind. I want to do these 2 things, and I want to do them in the best ways possible. And to do that, I need to be in the constant pursuit of betterment, which I believe is important for every single one of us. Now, one day I was sitting with my grandfather and I was discussing how finances, investment, costs, every single thing is boggling my mind now. And I didn't know what to do with my education because I'd already messed up way bad. He then recited these few verses from Allama Muhammad Iqbal's poem. Agar teri khaak mein hai sharar, teri khaak mein hai agar sharar, to khayale fakro ghana na kar. कि जहां में नाने शीर पर है मदारे कुव्वते हैदरी. Beside the applause, I'm sure majority of you are still oblivious of what it actually means. I was like that too. But then I asked him for the explanation. So he said, Beta, agar teri khaak mein hai sharar, if your soul has passion or a desire for something, a deep desire for something, as Napoleon Hill states it, then don't worry about wealth or penury, poverty. Because in the plain piece of bread lied the strength of the Lion of God, Hazrat Ali. You know, I looked at his face and I remembered the entire moment vividly because he's someone who's very close to me. My maternal grandparent, as I previously mentioned, I was living with them. He is someone who has raised me. He is my father figure. He is someone who has cared deeply for me and he believed in me when no one else did. So, after I got an idea of what he meant, I let go of the feelings of doubt. I let go of the feelings of confusion and I told myself that you need to focus on one thing and one thing only. And that right now is your goal. You know, when I was supposed to come here, I was informed around a day ago that I was supposed to be performing here and giving this talk to all of you. And I was repeatedly being told that you need to tell these young people, how exactly are you motivated? I thought to myself, I was very confused. I kept sitting at the same spot for 4 hours straight after that call. And I thought to myself, what keeps me going? What is it that makes me want to do more? And believe me, it's more than you yourself. My maternal uncle, my mamu, he has this philosophy, a weird philosophy, I'd say that, well, I understand now, but I didn't a few years back. He says that if you sweat in training, if you sweat enough in training, you'll bleed less in war. You know, I've not been treated very harshly by my family because they thought कि इसने जो किया है, खुद किया है, he's doing good by himself. They trusted me a lot. I'm very grateful for that. But my mamu still saw something more in me. He said, नहीं, अभी भी कुछ है, अभी कर सकते हो, और जाओ. He got the news of Shark Tank. You know, I wanted to hear the phrase, I'm proud of you, from him. But he was like, अच्छी बात है, now what about the investments? How are they coming through? Khair, after the pitch actually came on the streaming platform, that's when he said for the first time that I'm proud of you and I think you did really well. I remember at that very moment when I saw that message, it was 1 a.m. and I had tears in my eyes and you know the feeling of you thinking that, well, maybe we have achieved what we set out to achieve. But remember the metaphor of race that we previously started with, because that's very important here. That feeling ended very soon, because now the next thing followed by, and that was more work, more balancing stuff, making sure that we're hitting the right numbers, making sure we were approaching the right customers, making sure we were pivoting or making sure we were building a model that people actually wanted. And believe me, building a business in Pakistan is not very easy. Because what we're doing in the startup world is something that the people aren't acquainted with. All of you might say that what you're doing is perfect right now, but you won't pay for it. That's a challenge that we're set to surmount. That's a challenge that SKILLABS is facing right now, but believe me, it's not that I want to, I should, or I can. It's I will find a solution to this problem. And there will be a day when whatever I said in that 40-minute pitch in Karachi, you all must have seen only a short chunk of it, but that all will come true. That being said, I want you to remind of this one thing that I have on my phone all the time. It's my home screen wallpaper. You all have spent the last decade building 1% of what you're capable of. 1%. You just have to realize the courage. Because you're artists, you're creators, you're an innovator. And life is a mission. We all know where this mission is going to go through. We all know how this ends. Please don't let it end wondering what you could have done. My favorite quote, my favorite phrase is from Nike. It says, just do it. Majority of us don't achieve what we're set out to because we're in that constant state of thinking about what we should do, what we can do, but we just don't do. Execution is what is priceless. Ideas are a dime a dozen. But my point being that even today, all of you sitting here, you have something in your mind that you want to achieve, that you perceive. Manifest it. To get what others aren't getting, you need to do what others aren't doing. After Shark Tank, a lot of my friends, my peers told me that you're sacrificing your social life. Abhi bahut zindagi padi hai aage. But I've set a deadline for myself. And I know I have to achieve it. That's what you all need for yourselves as well. And that's what I'm pretty sure you all will be able to accomplish. Now let's go back to the track. The race that we initially started with. I received the baton. The noise in the stadium automatically dissipated. The only thing I whispered to myself was, where you start does not define where you finish. 50 meters is a lot of distance in a 100-meter sprint. Now there are people 20, 30 meters ahead of me. I've lost the race already if I tell myself that. I took the baton and I started running. Passed one runner, crossed another one. And no, I didn't win gold, nor silver, nor bronze, but I was able to qualify for the finals. And this metaphor is also applied to the race of life. We all are running in a cycle. We're all chasing something. And the funny thing is that the closer you get to the finish line, the more you realize that the finish line keeps on moving further. You achieve one thing, you'll go after the next. So how exactly do you cross this finish line? The answer is you don't. Because life isn't about winning or losing. It's not like an actual 100-meter relay, a race. I was recently watching an interview of Donald Trump in which he says that, well, I'll take whatever it takes to win. I'll do it. And that made me question, Ahmad Mutaba Yasir, will you do whatever it takes to win? Whatever is a lot, by the way. It's more than you can fathom, because the people that you see in the business industries, there's a lot of stuff. There are a lot of shortcuts that you can take to get where you want to be. And I told myself that, no, I don't. I don't want to be the 19, 20-year-old who raises investment but doesn't know where the investment is going to. I don't want to be the 19-year-old who raises millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars from these foreign investors and thinks that he's going to be able to put them to better use, because I'm not. I still have to figure out a lot for myself. And that's what you all need to do yourself. There are many shortcuts that you'll face in life. There are many shortcuts that you'll get. Will you opt for them or will you not? That is your choice. And choices have consequences. I think that you are the only person in your life who can shackle yourself. You're the only person who restrains yourself from flight. Because if you figure out for yourself what you want and how to achieve it, you will. So I believe that all of us have an option, an opportunity, today, maybe tomorrow, to free ourselves from those fetters. Maybe it's finally time to break through. Thank you.